Alright, welcome to a new episode of the vlog, everyone. Our tour is done. Just dropped Leenie off. She's getting on this ferry, walking on, and we're making our separate trips because the tour is over for me. But Leenie still got some more stops. She's got an awesome show coming up on the 30th at the Seascape Resort with her brother. They're going to be doing a drum off at the end, and if you're in the Quadra Island area, Quadra Island or Campbell River, just a short ferry ride away, you should really come over there and check that out. That's going to be a great show. But before I leave this town, head back home, thought it might be a good idea to come out here and just check out the view one more time. Maybe get a cool shot of the ferry leaving. Just look at the amount of fish by the surface of the water here in Powell River. Every one of those little dots is a fish. They are everywhere as far as the eye can see. Very cool. Alright, the Salish Eagle is slowly pulling out of its Powell River berth. I love that these new ferries have those vehicle doors that open up and down. The big mouth doors, I always think they're pretty cool. And yeah, these new Salish ships sure are majestic. I love that they have the mid-sized ships that still have all the amenities on board, and they just look so cool and state-of-the-art on the inside. And now slowly but surely down comes that door. And with that, Leenie begins her portion of the tour without me, going on back to Vancouver Island just briefly, and then heading over to Quadra. That's going to be awesome. And you can also see the other ship that comes in and out from this terminal, the North Island Princess, slowly making its way over from Texada. What an awesome tour this has been. We visited Nanaimo, Duncan, Powell Rivers, of course, Gibson's, Sechelt, Port Alberni, and Galliano Island, as well as Texada. It's been an incredible journey, and I'm sorry to see it come to an end, but I'm also kind of excited to return back home. And that is where I now shall head over to. Goodbye, Powell River. You've been awesome. Y'all, I'd just like to point out that the Value Village in Maple Ridge sells vinyl at $2 each, and the Salvation Army in Powell River sells them at 25 cents. So if you like records, go here. Got a whole bunch of weird stuff from there, including a National Geographic flexi disc of the funeral of Sir Winston Churchill. Yeah. It's so random that I was like, oh, I didn't even notice there's also Songs of the Humpback Whale. Yay. An old Elvis single that is destroyed beyond recognition. A Tommy James and the Shondells Mony Mony that's in fairly rough shape as well. A Gilbert and Sullivan play on like 5 or 6 of these 45s. I used to like that back in the 50s and 60s. I liked the old albums of 45s for people who I guess didn't have an LP record player. This career retrospective of Dionne Warwick. A George Burns album, which I would never buy were it not 25 cents. And this is what I was actually excited to get. I already have the film soundtrack to West Side Story, but this is the original 1957 Broadway cast soundtrack. Oh boy. On to the ferries next. Alright, I've made it over. Half-hour drive, about, to Saltery Bay here. Just outside Powell River. Back down to Earl's Cove again. This will be my 3rd time sailing this route in the last 4 days. Went up from Gibson's to Powell River. No, sorry. Other way around. Went from Powell River down to Gibson's. Back up to Powell River. Now we're going back to the Gibson's area on my way back home. It's okay though. This terminal is a great place to edit a vlog. And here comes the island sky, which I'm gonna journey on yet again. While this boat doesn't seem particularly large, it sure is wide, which allows for a great deal of cars to be able to board. I've noticed that if you ride these ferries from the lower outdoor decks, you really appreciate that they actually make some pretty good time. I will say I'm definitely going to miss doing all of these ferries. These are the last 2 ferries of this summer, and I just did the math. After today's done, since May, I will have been on 22 ferries. Pretty crazy. So 10 on the first trip in May, another 10 here in August, and then the 2, well, 1 both ways that I took on the trip over to Nakusp that I did back in July. So there's been a lot of traveling over water, but that's cool. I wouldn't have it any other way. The one thing that I will not miss, however, is the price of the ferries. Oh well. Alright, I believe there's our next terminal in Earl's Cove. Gonna pull in there and then drive about, an hour 15 to the next ferry out of Langdale. Oh joy. I know I've vlogged it before, but I just love that little scale model they have in the walkway. Just didn't quite catch this ferry, so I'm gonna have to wait 2 hours for the next one. Oh well, it's fine. For the trip to Horseshoe Bay, I'm on the Queen of Coquitlam this time. I'm actually pretty stoked to be on the Queen of Coquitlam because for pretty much the entirety of the 43 years that BC Ferries has been operating this ship, it's been a relief vessel. It's never really had a home route. They've just brought it in whenever another one of their boats is out of service and they've needed an extra one. So it's not always running. And yeah, the last several summers, it's been running as the relief vessel for this route during the summer. So that's pretty cool. Don't get to ride on this one every day. Built in 1976, so a older boat. That's interesting. I'm liking these frontward passenger decks. I think I'm gonna head down there. So they've roped off that one for whatever reason, but you can still go in this one. Go almost all the way to the front of the boat. This is pretty cool. I'm way more stoked than anyone should be about the Queen of Coquitlam. Interestingly enough, her sister ship, the Queen of Surrey, is docked just across the way. I'm not even sure if it's running any routes today because, to my knowledge, it's only the one route departing out of here right now, but it seems to be running. I have no idea. Very interesting. I think that that's the regular vessel that does this route, and this is only the relief ship, so I wonder what they're doing with the Queen of Surrey right now. Alright, so now we say goodbye to the Sunshine Coast. Done a few gigs over there now. It was a lot of fun, but now I'm heading back to my part of the mainland, the lower mainland, and very excited to be returning home. Fun fact, the outer deck of this boat is quite bumpy, and all other boats of this era have a completely refurbished floor now so that it's perfectly flat except this one. I guess they felt that since this is just a relief ship, they didn't need to put the money into refurbishing the floor. So apparently, I was just reading this, that out of all the decks of all the BC Ferry ships, this one is by far the bumpiest. Try not to trip. strong. But I also don't want to be banned from BC ferries for life, so I will restrain myself. I like that a group of seagulls is riding this barge. More glorious views of the province we live in. Update. The boat has been honking frantically at these people who passed very uncomfortably close to the ship. I wish I'd captured the moment. Brilliant. Alright, there's the terminal. We are arriving at Horseshoe Bay. Now just to do the little drive home. What an amazing tour this has been. I'm so thrilled that you guys could kind of come along with me through way of this vlog, but it is time to go back to the car. What an amazing experience this has been. This is a pretty cool vantage point right on the water as we pull towards the terminal. I've done it. I've arrived back at my house. I drove 1,348.1 kilometers on this tour. That's since I left for Nanaimo just under 2 weeks ago. And of course, that doesn't factor in the countless kilometers of ferry rides I was on. Home sweet home. It really feels good to be back. Today was wild. Today I had a lot of stuff to do. The first ferry, I didn't even mention earlier, the first ferry turned up 20 minutes late. And then that made me miss the next ferry. I had to wait a couple hours to catch that. By the time the ferry showed up in Horseshoe Bay in West Vancouver, it was just after 5 o'clock, which meant that I hit full-blown rush hour traffic from Horseshoe Bay to like Burnaby Lake, which for those of you who don't know the area, is typically like a 20-minute drive, but when you have that much traffic, it's like an hour and a half. So eventually, I've reached home. It's getting later now. I'm just going to rest. I'm not going to do a whole lot tomorrow. I don't think there will even be a vlog tomorrow. I'm sorry. But I'm excited to, now that I'm home, to get some resting in, because I need it. But thank you to everyone that I met at my gigs in Nanaimo, Galliano Island, Port Alberni, Duncan, Texada Island, Gibson's, Seashell, and Powell River. 8 stops, 8 awesome shows over 12 days. Big thanks to Leenie Bennett, who I went out for most of the tour with. We did 6 of the 8 shows that I played on this tour together. And she's the one who took me on my first tour in May and June. I can't say enough good things about her. She's been awesome. In the description, you can find links to her music where it is online. And she's been great. Another big thanks to Ryan Barnes, who joined me at the Duncan showroom earlier and made his Graham Strang Roots and Roots vlog debut. And thanks to all of you for tuning in and catching the episodes. Check out the description for a full list of all my upcoming tour dates. There are still more, even though this tour is done. And also, yeah, like I said in the description, you can find, I have a link to where Lenie's music can be found online. But there's also, you can find my music where it's sold or streamed online. Like this video if you liked what you saw. And subscribe to this channel if you've been enjoying my videos. And you can even ring the notification bell to be notified every time I upload a video. Which will not be tomorrow, but it will be the next day. And pretty much every day after that for the foreseeable future. Thank you to each and every one of you for tuning in. The tour is over. Hurrah. See you then.